Thank you everyone so much for coming out tonight. It means a lot to see everyone's faces here and know that there's so many great people that are trying to protect reproductive rights in Rhode Island. Sorry. So our focus is to protect reproductive rights in Rhode Island, and one of the main ways that we think that would be really important to do is to promote and advocate for legislation that will protect those rights. So that's why we've come up with 3 legislative goals, which are concrete ways that we can protect reproductive freedom in Rhode Island. So the first one is to pass legislation to make abortion legal in Rhode Island, so that in the event that if Roe v. Wade is overturned, that a woman's right to choose would still be available in Rhode Island. The second piece of legislation that we would like to work on is to protect no-cost access to contraception if ACA is repealed. Like I believe Amy mentioned, birth control is extremely expensive, and if we do not have that part of the ACA, it can really impact a lot of women. And lastly is to repeal Prohibition on state employee health insurance and Medicaid coverage of abortion in Rhode Island. We haven't really talked about that much yet, but that is something that's a huge concern for many Rhode Islanders who work for the state who do not have abortion coverage in their state insurance. And Tiara is going to talk to you now about how to organize and protect your reproductive freedom in Rhode Island.
Hi everyone. So some of the organizing efforts that have been discussed are building an intersectional reproductive freedom movement to pass legislation that Brittany just mentioned. So that's things like coordinating with other movements like Resist Hate RI, and then starting a POC collective, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Also use legislative campaigns to organize across the state with a specific focus on districts with anti-choice leadership, really pushing for RI reproductive freedom across the state, and building towards the election coming up in 2018. Another one is growing base of leaders and activists and coalition partners, including POC communities and immigrant populations. Another one is increasing our presence in Rhode Island media. And the last one is supporting our allies in the General Assembly. So more about the People of Color collective or affinity group, it's really about creating a space, like Ropika and Megan also mentioned. There's not really a space or a platform for a lot of communities of color to come around and discuss the issues of reproductive access, freedom, and equity in those communities. So really getting in the grassroots works, seeking those agencies or organizations that are already working with people of color for people of color who are people of color. So really building that network and finding the resources and education and connecting those communities that we haven't yet reached, who we'd really like to start reaching. So if you want more information about being a part of that newly forming collective, hopefully starting within the next year, you can speak to me or ask Craig to connect you later. But it'd be awesome if you guys know if any communities are already working towards the people of color communities.
So if all of you want to take out this sheet, it's the Pledge for Reproductive Freedom. So these are some direct actions that we have come up with. These are just examples though. These are ones that we would believe have a great impact, but we want you guys to put your piece in. We want to know what you think is going to help move this forward. So we've provided an additional comments or ideas portion on the sheet. In a couple minutes, we're going to have you guys sit at tables and talk to each other and come up with other concrete ideas of how we can move this forward. So some of the ones that we have is constant communication from constituents to their elected officials. This can mean calling your elected officials, writing them a letter, going to the State House and talking to them, forming meetings to really talk to them and voice your concerns. The second thing that we have is community events around the state. We have a couple of different ones, like today, the one we had today. There's the Resist RI event that we have. And this will give you an opportunity to find out what's going on and to meet new people that you may be able to collaborate with. Another action that we have is coming to the lobby days at the State House to talk directly with legislators. They meet weekly. And this gives you an opportunity to really talk to them and to get them to really see that this is something you consider very important and something that you want to see change in Rhode Island. And the last thing that we have is to attend an in-district meeting with Planned Parenthood and legislators. I believe that we're going to work on meeting with legislators to really get them to come on board with what we're talking about here today. And it would be great if you guys could come to those meetings and voice your concerns and how important this is for you.